Oh, for the love of composition books. Hey, it's Care. Welcome to my Take at the Lake. Guess what? Tag. It's my turn. I've been tagged by Amy at Doki Doki Forest in a game of tag that was created by Carrie at the Paper Monkey. I believe Amy was tagged by Magic by the Ocean, and Carrie at the Paper Monkey tagged Christina at Christina's Shack. I've seen lots and lots of tags. I'm going to list a whole bunch below that I've watched. People are so creative. Who looks at flashcards and sees dragons? Who looks at old envelopes and sees pockets? 3 trifold pocket tags. Amazing. Coralie at Magic by the Ocean did recycled oracle cards. I mean, the creativity is over the top on these. Mine, I don't know where it falls on the creativity scale, but I really like it. I will show you my tags for the love of composition books. Actually, I had 2 ideas at the exact same time, which more on that in a little bit, and I'll show you the other idea here in a second. And I did both of them practically at the same time. While one dried, I worked on the other, etc. But this is my tag. Looks like a composition book. It's a little deceiving because it opens this way instead of this way. Tag with a topper and the side cut, it's a tag. This is an idea catcher that you can tuck into a journal of some sort. You can just tuck it in. I made it so that I could just hang it over the pages, and it's always ready. Whatever I'm working on, I can tuck this in, and it's an idea catcher. It is a notebook style tag to catch those ideas, because ideas are like fireflies. They're there and then they're gone, and if you don't grab them right away, they're gone. So I am a big believer in capturing those ideas, and I used some of my very favorite light bulb moment art light bulbs. This is my favorite of all time. This is why I wanted to do this kind of tag, an idea catcher, because of this particular piece of art. I made these, or I found these on Canva. I didn't make them. I just used them. They're free on Canva. I think they're free. I don't know if they are or not. But I'll show you what I did. It's super, super easy, although it's a little time consuming because you got to wait for the paint to dry. But that's when I work on other stuff. And this might be a little claustrophobic for you, but this is how I work. My desk, I will show you. I have a little Christmas tree here. It stays lit all day. I love this little tree. And there's a mess over there from stuff I found at my grandma's from previous videos, upcoming videos, projects that I'm working on. I'm switching to green tea, by the way, from coffee. We'll see how that goes. So far, so good. No coffee. Oh my God, the horror. But I found a way to make it taste almost like coffee, so I'm good. Anyway, the reason I'm showing you this mess is because that's how I work. I come in and I do a little bit of something on a page, and then I go away and I work on the computer, or I clean or whatever. And then I come back and I do a little bit. That's why one of the reasons I usually don't do process videos, because my process is so disjointed that to sit down and do it all at once, problematic for me. But I will try to show you what I did here. Get to the bottom of the stack. And I have a workshop coming up in January I want to tell you about, so stick around for those details. More coming on those as we go along. These tag composition books started as a manila file folder. I just grabbed, and I happened to grab from the legal. It doesn't have to be any legal size, but what I wanted it for was because it was already folded. Super easy and a little bit heavier than paper. And I painted it. And I wasn't sure what would look most like a composition book. Let me grab a composition book. I wanted to get as close to this modeled effect as I could, but fast and easy. So it didn't have to be perfect, but it had to be fast and easy and as close as I could get. So my first thought was to grab a sponge, and that's what this is with, a sponge. In a certain kind of way, I'd put it down and twist it and put it down and twist it. And it was okay, but it wasn't quite right. I mean, parts of it are. The white parts look great, but the black kind of looks cucky. So then I did the sponge in a different way, just regular sponging, and that doesn't look anything right. This is that. And then I took a paintbrush and some acrylic paint, and I just kind of twirled my brush around and left some white spots. Again, it's not perfect, but it's close. So if I were to do it again, I would do this modeling with a sponge to get these whites, although the whites in here are white. There's no black. Like this has got black in it. So I guess that's as close as I could come. I guess I would do that again, just leave more whites. And because I did trial 1, trial 2, and a third type, that sort of dictated where I cut. That dictated the size of my journal, or my tags, because this was as wide as the modeled type was. This was the spongy one, and then this one is about half and half, so I could cut it right down that middle and have two more tags. We'll see how that goes here in a minute. So I painted that, and then I took loose leaf notebook paper, college ruled, that's my favorite, and just cut it to size. I measured how much I wanted. I wanted to leave a little bit of space, and I wanted the red mark, and I wanted the holes at least on one of them. I cut them right down to meet the edge of the paper, because that's how the notebooks work, and then I rounded the edges. Let's try and do this on camera. We'll see. So I can either cut it right down the middle of the two different kinds of paint, or I already have these printed out, and if I cut it in half, this is too big, so I'm just going to let my composition book label dictate the size of this. I like this side better, so I'm going to have that be the majority, and I'm going to put that there. So I want this to be about yay big. I'm putting a cutting mat down on my cutting mat because this was 50 cents. This was not 50 cents, so I always try to protect my cutting mat with a cutting mat just to make the good one last a little bit longer. I can replace the Dollar Tree one pretty readily. In fact, I have. I don't know where my clean ones are, my new ones. I put them away for safekeeping. There. Now this could be a little accordion book. This would be great little tiny composition books. You know, nothing goes to waste, and I love minis. Love minis. So, oh, that would be great. So you can make a truckload of mini composition books with this, or a long, tall, skinny one. All kinds of things to do with that offcut, so don't throw it away. Now, it's a file folder, so I've got this funky end. I want it, and my paper is plenty long enough. And I don't know how many pages I used. Maybe, I don't know, there's about eight pieces of paper here. And while I love the holes, I want more writing space, so I'm going to put my notebook paper backwards so that I still get the red line to give me that composition book feel. And I'm going to just eye it up to see where I want to cut my papers. And I want to give myself just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch on either side. See all this mess? This is because I'm using my stainless steel ruler, metal ruler with the cork bottom. So there's a tiny bit of a lip between the metal and the paper, and I'm not holding it. I'm holding it tight up at the top and down here at the bottom. But here where this mess is, I'm not holding it very tight. So my blade is slipping down in there and cutting. Each time I do a different layer, it's cutting a little bit off center. I believe this is why Nicole at Relax Cut Glue uses her metal ruler. You see her all the time with it upside down cutting, because there is no gap. Do you see here? There's this lip between the cork and the metal, and that's where my blade is finding its way and making all these fringy edges. So if I turn it upside down and cut it that way, my blade doesn't have anywhere to go except the original cut. It can't slip underneath. It helps to move your pressure with your cut. So I'm going all the way down to the bottom. What I wasn't doing is I would start my pressure up here, and then I wasn't moving. I'm going to stop cutting and inch my hand down a little bit to put pressure on that ruler so my blade won't slip underneath it again. And then I get a nice clean cut. Who knew this would be so complicated, Care? It's not. I just get lost in the details. Now, how big do I want it? Well, since I'm capturing ideas, and I want to capture a lot of ideas, I want it as long as I possibly can have it. So what I'm going to do is just cut the very bottom. You can see that that corner is kind of funky. I'm going to cut it right here at that corner just to cut off the parts that make it look like a file folder. Put my metal side down so I get a clean cut this time right on that corner. Lots of pressure. Make sure it's straight. No slippage. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Even though this is designed to not let it slip, there are certain instances where it works and for you, and certain instances where it works against you. These can be used, well, yeah, these can be used for collage, ATC, you know, all kinds of things. I've got a whole stack of bits and pieces. So then I'm going to take my paper and tuck it back up into that crease and fold it down. Because when you fold it down, it moves it just a smidge. I want to mark it when it's folded. Another little notebook, or this could go in those mini composition books, so don't throw away your offcuts. I'm going to use my corner chomper by Crocodile. Gotta always remember to flip the wings open so that your papers fit inside there. Straight, I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side. I use the Posca pen. Actually, that's a cheap Walmart paint pen. 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch to mark those. Probably empty it. Pull the little thing up, empty out the bits. Cuts easier that way if it's not full of junk. Using the 1/2 inch side, sliding that in, corner chomping them. I'm gonna do the same to the bottom of my composition book cover. I'm just going to staple this little piece, or this little stack of papers together. I'm going to off-center it just a little bit because I want to poke my hole through there and I don't want to have to fight against my staple. Now to hide that and to continue with the realism, you know, the realism is in the details. I'm going to put the black spine on my composition book. But I'm also going to use this, and this is electrical tape. I happen to have a glut of it for some reason or another, and it works fantastic in the craft room. I think it's cheaper than washi. Of course it's cheaper if it's already in the house. It's free, essentially, because you already have it. Cutting it to make it straight on that end. I'm just going to take approximately the width that I need for my notebook. I'm just going to cover up that staple. This part is purely aesthetics, and to make it feel like more of a real notebook. It looks like a little thing you'd buy at the office supply section at Meijer. Okay, so I'm going to put this in, and I like, for this part, a tape runner, a glue gun runner, glue adhesive, dry adhesive runner, I don't know. You gotta take the lid off. And I'm gonna give it quite a few, 3 runs of it. It's a pretty light little notebook. So this is Scrapbook Adhesives Easy Runner Grand White Permanent. I love this. I have no time for peel and stick. Put the tape down, measure it, pick the backing off. No time for that. Why would you do that when you can do this? Got it on Amazon. I'll put the link below to encourage anyone who uses double-sided adhesive. Who has that kind of time or patience? I don't even know. So I'm going to fold this and tuck this notebook as far up to the top as I can. Give it a good press. Now, if you don't have the corner chomper, if you look at a composition notebook, they're just cut right off. They're not even rounded anymore, really. They're almost, it's funny that they're hardly even rounded. So if you don't have a corner chomper, take a quarter, trace a nice round line, or just or don't cut them. Who cares if you don't have them cut? It doesn't matter. Okay, back to this. Now, usually when I'm doing a piece of tape on a spine, or on a seam, I want it sort of centered. But in this case, I want it to be a little bit bigger on the front. Make sure this is the front. And so I'm gonna do like 3/4 and 1/4 versus 1/2 and 1/2. None of them are straight. I haven't gotten one on straight yet. Open it and then fold it down on itself. Yeah, this is way crooked. So that would probably make me crazy in the cover. So what I'll do here is just cover it up. Try and make this piece as straight as I can. So that's the front. I want to do the same thing on the other side, so it appears like it's a cover. Oh, this one's crooked too. All of my tape, whenever I use any kind of tape, any kind of washi, painter's tape, masking tape, any kind of tape, I fold the end over. And so I never, ever have to spend time pick, trying to find. It's always obvious because I folded that end over. Yes, I use a tiny little bit of extra tape, wasteful, but it saves me oodles of frustration because I get frustrated easy. I know, it's so surprising. I know, that's a surprise to hear. So I'm gonna have to, I guess, put him. Just might make my life a little easier. Put that down. Put that over. I don't care what the back looks like. Okay, so we just have a couple more steps. I'm going to take my handy dandy little card maker. I cut 4 different size corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all different size corners for different size projects. Obviously it's just an old gift card. Line it up on the 2 sides, and then you have your corner. Chop that off, and then you take your card, flip it over. And they're even Steven. These corners are great for photo corners or to put corners on little books. There's all kinds of uses for these little corners, so I've kept all those. Go figure. I'm going to use, because I have all those 8 or 10 pieces of paper in there, use my Crocodile 2. Big Bite. That's why I wanted that staple a little bit off center, because I want my hole in the center. I'm using the 3/16 hole maker because that's the bigger of the 2. And you can tell that. You don't have to know measurements. You can tell the landing hole here is very small compared to the landing hole here. That's why I know the last one is the biggest one. Not because I know the difference between 3/16 and 1/8 or 1/4. I can't read what that says anymore. It's because that hole's bigger. That's it. So I'm just going to line this up with that hole maker. First of all, I'm going to mark it for myself. I'm just going to eye it up, as I do most things, where I want that hole. Find the hole, the mark that you made, line it up with the hole maker. You can do this. You don't have to have the Big Bite. You can do that with a regular hole punch, although it'd be hard to go through all those pieces of paper. You could do them before you put them in, or you could use a pokey tool and then just keep at it to make it a little bit bigger. These goofy things, I still mask up. I have an underlying health condition that COVID could kill me. I have underlying health issue, lung problems. So A, I still live practically like it's lockdown, and B, I still mask up everywhere I go. And I'm telling you this because that's what these are. I use the black KN95 masks under my pretty masks, and these are the ear holders. My pretty masks have very comfortable ear things. The KN95 ones, they're so tight. So I just pull them off, and they're elastic. But I've been pulling them off. They're all the same size, which is awesome. And I was wondering what I was going to use them for, and this is the perfect thing to use them for. I folded it in half to get that little kind of loop there. I'm putting that loop near that hole. I'm using my grandma's. It's from her nutcracker set, where you dig the nuts out of their shells. And I'm just pushing it through that hole just to make my life a little bit easier. To get that through that hole where I can grab hold of it, put my fingers through the loop, grab the two tails, and pull the two tails up through that loop. And now I've got my wonderful tag. The other thing that I forgot to do was cut the tape off of this corner. Still using my Scotch Create glue. Like I said, I had purchased an arse load of it. Haven't gotten my new glue yet. I haven't been able to decide which one I want, so I haven't purchased any just yet, because I'm still using up what I have. I'm really happy that Elmer's stuff is almost gone. I've been using that for my daily miscellaneous glue projects, and the paper that I'm gluing that to is way more absorbent, and I think it's working better in that. Again, I'm just going to eye this up. Now, I forgot to cut out my idea. I could just put it down like that. Maybe I will, and that'll make it pop off, because if I put just the dark, maybe that's why I cut it that way. I'm so smart. I meant to do that. You know, I meant to keep the white around it so you could see. This is another of my favorite images. I'll show you an up close here in just a moment because it's so awesome. I love it. Here's a close-up. It's the universe inside a light bulb. It's a galaxy. Oh, I just love that because that's so true. Ideas change the world, and one idea can change your life. That's my workshop that's coming up for January. My goal is to make January one of my best years ever, and if you want to come along with me on that ride, thus the changing to green tea from coffee, thus the idea generation workshop. It's called the Art of Idea Generation. One of them, I have many nicknames other than the Krabby Crafter, which is so fitting. One of the places I worked was a newsroom, and we had to come up with new stories every single day, new stories every single Saturday, new features every single day. And every day we'd have these roundtable discussions, and we'd come to the table and people would have one or two ideas, and I'd have 27. And eventually they started calling me the Idea Mill. And then because of my last name, it went to the Idea Miller, because you just crank them out, and that stuck, the Idea Miller. It's kind of like buying a lottery ticket. You know, you increase your chances greatly of winning the lottery if you buy a ticket, right? A good idea can land on your shoulder like Harry Potter to Miss Rowling, but you increase your chances exponentially if you're always generating ideas instead of waiting for them to find you. And that's what the workshop's all about. More on that on PCU, my other channel. I'll link that below. More information on that coming soon. That's going to be in January. And I promised you another thing. When I had the idea for these tags, aren't they great? I love them. Idea catchers. Idea catchers. I want you to just fill them with ideas, make more and more and more. And that's what I use some of my books for, my regular composition board, is because I generate ideas constantly. Some are really good, some go by the wayside, and that's fine. But the other thing that I had at the same time I had this idea, I said, well, I don't want to make a tag, I want to use a tag. I wanted to use one of these open up tags to make a book, and these are using from my overload of Christmas critters, although these are from the new version of that book that's for planners and bullet journals. If you like to make things miniature, this is the book for you. I'm going to do a whole video on that here pretty shortly, but this was the other tag. This is a Christmas tag, and I wanted to play with the words. Instead of making a tag like everybody else, I wanted to use a tag and make something wonderful. And so I made this tiny little junk journal, which I think would be fun to get as a gift as a gift tag. Of course, it still has the to and from in the back, so you write to and from who. Use your little scraps. I just inked up the edges with red and green and threw my miniature images in there with some sentiments. Happy ho-ho holidays. More on this in another video. I am going to tag Jean Bainey. She has not played along in this. It was hard to find someone, no offense, Jean. A lot of people have played this game that I know. So Jean Bainey, tag your turn. This was great fun. Thank you, Amy, for including me. Thank you to Carrie at the Paper Monkey. Nice to meet you in 3 degrees. I hope that you play along. Watch the other videos. It's amazing what the other people have come up with. And I've only scratched the surface. I'm sure the game is just getting started. So if you're inspired, please go make a composition book idea catcher. Again, you can tuck these in any journal, any project. I don't have one laying close, or I would show you. Either tuck it in or hang it over the top of a page, and you'll always have a place to jot those great ideas, and it just takes one to change your whole life. I hope you're having a lovely and festive, crafty day. Love up your Beasleys. Keep them safe and calm during this crazy, hectic season. They don't understand it. They don't like it any better than we do. But of course, they're part of it. P.S. On Friday, December 22nd, I'm going to do a flip through of some of my favorite Christmas books. For years, I collected Christmas books, and years of late, I've only kept my very favorite. So I want to flip you through a few of them, and we'll just chit-chat about books and whatnot. And what I'm telling you this is because I'm going to set it as a premiere, which means we can watch it together. I'll be there, kind of like a live, but not really. The video won't be live. It'll be pre-recorded, but the chat will be live, and we can talk about Christmas books and how things are going for holiday preparations, etc., etc. I think it'll be great fun, and I hope you join me. Pencil it in. I'm not sure what time. If you have a better time that works for you, I know people in Australia have a different, they're not going to be able to watch it. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we can figure out a way to make it work. But I just think it'd be fun. So those of you who can participate, I'm thinking, 6 o'clock Eastern time, 6 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, maybe 4 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. I don't know, whatever works for your schedule or however it works out. I guess I'll just pick a number and we'll see who can show up. But pencil it in. Plan to make yourself a cup of something yummy and get festive. And we'll talk about some beautiful Christmas books. Mate at the Lake, out for now.